The Ultimate Fighter is dead. Remember that so? You remember how like big that was to a lot of like MMA fans' childhoods? I remember it. Brock Lesnar versus Dos Santos. Season 13. Tony Ferguson ended up winning the entire thing. It's starting probably like one of my favorite MMA fighters runs in the UFC. That was the season that got me into combat sports. That is what got me started. So I have a connection to the Ultimate Fighter. And lately, even as a fan, one thing that I have to get behind is the idea that the Ultimate Fighter, I think it's in its either dark ages or its final days. Genuinely. I mean, we had Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. I'm going to be honest with you, that was a pretty mess season. This was before Volkanovski was a fan favorite, and this is what I believe the UFC was trying to build up Volkanovski, trying to make him more likable. And at the end of the day, that is what the Ultimate Fighter does. The Ultimate Fighter launched in a time period where you had Big Brother, you had Survivor, the Ultimate Challenge, and like 50 other clones of that. Like the early 2000s was filled with Survivor clones. That was why the Ultimate Fighter was made. And it was the thing that saved the UFC from going bankrupt. Dana White, I'm convinced that's the only reason Dana White keeps it around, but I think he's slowly killing it in favor of Dana White Contender Series. And this latest announcement of the coaches for the next season of the Ultimate Fighter is, in my mind, the final nail in the coffin. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to let Dana White tell you who the next coaches are going to be.
What's up, everybody? We have just confirmed the coaches for season 32 of The Ultimate Fighter, and it will be UFC Women's Flyweight Champion Alexa Grasso and former champion Valentina Shevchenko.
Yep. Valentina Shevchenko versus Alexa Grasso are going to be the coaches for UFC season 32. Quite possibly one of the last seasons. And I'm sounding like a Debbie Downer, man, but like I'm not even gonna lie to you. Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes, you guys remember that season? Yeah, me neither. That was boring. Like that was actually probably top 5 worst seasons ever. Okay? Like, TUF used to be how you would market huge MMA fights. That's why they did it for Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. Because they wanted to capture the charm of Conor McGregor against Uriah Faber. That's what TUF is turning into now. It's just cheap marketing. Fighters don't even really want to do it anymore because you have to take 6 weeks to do the filming for it. And then, along with that, you also have to run your own training camp. Like, I understand the hassle behind it. But why are we wasting it on a fight? That it doesn't matter how much marketing you put behind it. There's a cap for how many people are going to swim by and watch it. Let's be real here. Alexa Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. Like, there's a reason. Like, they're going to make that. This is not a fight that you could put this behind. Like, I'm sorry. I'm almost obligated to watch it because I make content on this sport. But I'm not going to lie to you. If I didn't, I ain't watching this. I'm just not. Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler was a passable season, but it was ruined by they wanted to do prospects versus veterans. Yeah, and first off, some of the veterans only came off one loss and they got cut from the UFC and immediately got put in, and they just smoked the rest of the prospects. Who would have thought? I wonder what gimmick they're going to do for this season. You're killing me. Season 32 of The Ultimate Fighter, honestly, is probably going to be one of the worst received ones. June 4th on ESPN+. Purely because Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler barely did well, because I think they lost like half their viewership halfway through the season just because, I'll be real, it just wasn't that good. What could have been done? I'll tell you, Israel Adesanya versus Dricus du Plessis. I'm not even the only one that was saying that. That's not even a profound take. Anybody with half a brain cell, if you told them, hey, who do you want to coach the next season of The Ultimate Fighter? Dog. Israel Adesanya. Dricus du Plessis. There's a beef there. Hype up UFC Africa. Do it. Do Strickland as a coach. Dude, do you have any idea the viewership on that would be insane? No, guaranteed. There's probably some people at ESPN that's saying, hey, if you put Strickland as one of the coaches, we're not putting that on our platform. Because I don't think the UFC really minds Strickland. I think it's ESPN that has a problem with Strickland. But let alone, if you put him coaching against anybody, that's instantly going to sell. Like, there's an... Doug, you could have done Pantoja versus Moreno as the coaches of season 32, and it would do better than this. Like, you could have put in a hat on a table and just scribbled names of any semi-marketable fighter and just pulled out two at random. It doesn't even matter if they know each other. That would do better than this season. It simply would. Like, what is this season going to bring us? Really? Like, I like Alexa Grasso. But, like, it's not like there's... They're not going to be playing off each other, okay? Like, this has killed my hype for The Ultimate Fighter. I'll wait till next year. Next year, June, hopefully they, they recognize that they want to make... Jon Jones versus Stipe! You could have done that! I don't even understand why they wouldn't have done that. I understand they've both coached The Ultimate Fighter before. So has Conor McGregor. But you want to build hype between Jon Jones and Stipe Miocic. Most fans don't even want to see that fight anymore. Most fight fans actually want to see Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall because now they recognize that fight is more entertaining. But the UFC is content and just driven to make the Stipe fight. Okay, let's build some hype for it. Stipe Miocic versus Jon Jones. Coaching challenge. Maybe they're worried that if they make a whole series going like this following Stipe Miocic, they can't hide how geriatric he is at this point in his life? I don't know. Like, I have a few theories of why they're doing this. One, I think the UFC has gotten to a point where they're so mainstream that now they can play like the semi... Here's the thing. I don't think the UFC is going political. I think it's an easy way to hide behind, like to hide from criticism, where they can say, oh, well, if you don't like this, you just don't like women. It's like, no, they're just not that charismatic. And historically, the last season where women's coaches did well was Ronda Rousey versus Miesha Tate. And I know I've clowned on Ronda Rousey in the past, but Ronda Rousey actually has really good mic skills. Like, she just does. Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. One of them barely speaks English. Like, what do you think's going to happen here? This is not going to be any different. So, that's one of them. They feel that they're too big that they could give any slop to MMA fans and they'll just watch it with a smile on their face and then they'll defend it with the lines that the UFC's given them. Two, Dana White is slowly trying to kill The Ultimate Fighter so he can blame it on, well, the fans aren't watching it, and at the end of the day, I am for the fans. No! We like The Ultimate Fighter. You guys are just killing it. In favor of Dana White Contender Series. You want to know why? Because Dana White Contender Series is cheaper to put on. It's less planning to put on. And I'm going to be honest with you, it is pretty good. I'm not going to lie to you. I prefer The Ultimate Fighter purely based off nostalgia. And three, the UFC just likes effing with MMA fans. Honestly, like that's part of what that's part of what's part of it, I guess. I was trying to make a completely different video going over the UFC 299 press conference, and I'm still going to be putting out that video today within the next few hours of this coming out. But, bro, this might have been the worst choices for coaches ever. It is that bad. Tell me what you think in the comment section down below. What are the odds of you watching this? And what coaches would you rather have been the coaches of UFC 32? I could name like 3. Israel Adesanya, Dricus du Plessis, Jon Jones versus Stipe Miocic. Fuck, even Pantoja versus Brennan Moreno would do better. You tell me what you think. Adios, guys.